What's going on YouTube? It is Repulse back in another video. In today's video, we have another Chelsea news video. Gonna be a little short and sweet one. I'm pretty late to the news party. I had a lot going on in the last 2 days, so really difficult for me to make a news video. But it's a double upload night. It's gonna be a match preview that's already out. So if you haven't watched that, go watch that already. And then we have our Chelsea news video, which is gonna be out shortly because I'm recording it right now, obviously. But yeah, Chelsea news, lots and lots to talk about. So just stay tuned throughout the whole thing. Probably going to be around 10 to 15 minutes. So, keep your eyes, keep your ears on the screen. Lot to talk about. And we're starting with Alejandro Garnacho. Fabrizio Romano, I think a day ago, said, breaking Alejandro Garnacho to Chelsea. Here we go. Deal done between Chelsea and Man United. Garnacho only wanted Chelsea and will sign a 7-year deal at the club for a fee close to £40 million package. Story from July confirmed, so you can see the clubs met at the middle. Obviously, Man United wanted £50 million. Chelsea wanted to pay 30. Budge for 35. Man United, I guess, came down to 45, and then they just met in the middle at £40 million. Believe it's going to be around 35 plus 5 for Garnacho. To come in, be a left winger. Obviously, not the final product. We don't know what the best of Garnacho is really going to hold. We don't know if Man United really holds back players that much, or if Garnacho just reached the ceiling as a player. But I doubt. He's only 21 or 22. Definitely think he has a lot left in his tank and a lot to improve on. And I do fully expect him to do that at Chelsea. I think Maresca will, work wonders on his development. I think Man United do hold players back. You can see Sheshko doesn't look good. You can see Cunha and Emblema don't look good, but we know they're talented players. Just something about Man United. I don't know if it's management or the hierarchy. Something's just not right at that club there. So, maybe there's a chance Alejandro Garnacho does explode at Chelsea. There's a here we go. He's going to be probably unveiled during the game tomorrow. Definitely keep an eye out on that. We do have an early kickoff against Fulham. Match preview, as I said earlier, is out now. So make sure you go watch that. But Garnacho is headed to Chelsea. Do expect the unveiling, him to walk out on the field tomorrow. Yeah, not. I wouldn't say I'm thrilled. I wasn't the biggest fan when we were linked to Garnacho the entire time. Definitely wanted us to look alternative ways, but I'm also open to the opportunity that he might bang here. You know, really do well for himself, make a name out of himself. Did at Man United, but then, production just started dropping off. Even though he still had 20 goals and assists last season, but you know, in that Man United side, it's not really, no one really stands out because they're all pretty awful over there when they play. So, hopefully Garnacho can explode over here. I do think there's definitely a possibility that he does do that. I'm not going to write him off just right away. He's going to have a chance to impress, but definitely going to keep a close eye because this is a signing that I'm not in favor of. But to be fair, Gittins hasn't started well. I was in favor of that signing, and I still do have a lot of patience for him. So, the same patience I'm giving to Gittins, I'm going to have to give to Garnacho. It's only fair. And he heads to Chelsea for a £40 million package. So, hopefully he performs well. I do wish him well here. Any Chelsea player I am going to back. So, hopefully he bangs it here. Hopefully Maresca does, do him right in his development. But here he comes to Chelsea. So, keep an eye on him featuring in, upcoming fixtures. Maybe the game against Brentford. Maybe, against Man United as well. We'll definitely see. But he's headed here, £40 million package. It is confirmed, and he will be unveiled soon. Moving on. We had the exclusive breaking news that Christopher Nkunku is headed to AC Milan. Another here we go. Deal verbally agreed in principle between the clubs. AC Milan and Chelsea are set to prepare documents today. Fee will be in the region of 35 million euros with add-ons. Nkunku said yes to 5-year contract yesterday, as revealed. People were confused what the 35 million euros with add-ons meant. It's 35 million euros, and then there's add-ons on top of it to make a 42 million euro pound or 42 million euro package, which is equating to I think 34.6 million pounds. So definitely got our valuation there. We wanted 35 million pounds for Nkunku. We got 34.6. So thank you to AC Milan for being our loyal customers. Ruben Loftus-Cheek did score for them today. They won 2-0. And Christian Pulisic scored the other goal. So two former Chelsea players scored the 2 goals for AC Milan, and now Christopher Nkunku goes over there to join them. Hopefully help them get them back to where they usually should be. They're obviously in 10th last season, which is horrible for them. No European football, but Nkunku heads over there to Italy. Wish him well. Is really professional about this exit. Same game plan as Chelsea, only leaving on a permanent deal. Rejected Bayern Munich because they didn't offer that. And then it seems like Leipzig and who's the other club? Who's the other club? Is there another club, or am I just absolutely hallucinating? Um, but yeah, whatever. Leipzig and Bayern Munich did not come in permanently. Nkunku heads to AC Milan permanently, first team to do so, and it was pretty swift negotiations. But everyone thought, Nkunku's leaving. That finally opens the door for Xavi Simons to come through the door. We need a number 10. Cole Palmer's hurt. Cole Palmer's not even playing tomorrow, so we need another 10 to come through the door, to really provide cover for us because it is necessary. Xavi Simons headed to London yesterday, um, trying to get the deal done, but then this happened. Fabrizio says breaking Xavi Simons to Tottenham. Here we go. All signed between Spurs and RB Leipzig for fee worth 60 million euros fixed after agreement revealed overnight. Xavi has completed his medical and his contract is also now signed. Contract until 2030 plus 2-year option. So what happened was Xavi Simons came to London to negotiate with Chelsea as well as Tottenham. Chelsea never submitted to bid to Leipzig. They thought 60 million euros was too expensive for their liking, too big of an overall package, so we never submitted a bid for Xavi Simons. Xavi Simons then gave encouragement to Tottenham to submit a bid. Uh, Xavi went to do his medical over, or in London, actually. He did his medical in London, still held out, waiting for Chelsea to potentially make a bid to RB Leipzig, but once he realized Chelsea were likely not going to make a bid, he signed the contract for Tottenham. So he completed his medical before he signed his contract because he really wanted to wait for Chelsea, see if they did end up bidding. Chelsea never budged. Chelsea never bidded for the player. Pretty bizarre how that whole saga, began with Chelsea, and it's only Chelsea, and then Chelsea just never went in for the player. So yeah, a little bizarre there. But Xavi Simons is headed off to Tottenham. You know, wish him well. To be honest, I love the player. He's one of my favorite players in world football. But not gonna root for him because he is now at Spurs. But I think it is a really good buy for them. You have Kudus, you have Xavi, and now obviously James Madison is hurt, but that is a good attack when James Madison does come back if you want to put Xavi on that left-hand side. So there's that. Xavi is headed off to Spurs for 60 million euros. Chelsea never going for the player. He was waiting for us, waiting for us, waiting for us. Even after his medical and waiting to sign the contract, he was still waiting for Chelsea. Um, but just never came. So there's that. He's headed off to Spurs, and we'll definitely keep track of how he does over there. Just a little unfortunate because it's a player I've wanted all summer, but he's headed off to Tottenham. Um, hope he does decent, but you know, whatever, whatever. Hopefully, we just find a good replacement. Anyways, enough of the sulking. I think it's just time to move on from this topic. Xavi Simons off to Spurs. We'll move on. Talking about Nicholas Jackson potentially headed to Bayern Munich. Fabrizio on his own today had his little weekly show, said that Bayern Munich are prepared to pay over 15 million euros for the loan of Nicholas Jackson. They want it done tomorrow or at the latest Sunday. So they want it done by the end of the weekend. For Xavi Simons, Chelsea didn't accept financially to meet the price of 51 million pounds. So to touch a little bit on that last part, someone posted something about Chelsea's A list and B list, all the UEFA you know restrictions that we have. On that topic, we realized that we've made around I think 56 million pounds of headboard, but we need 85. Um, and offloading Nkunku definitely opens up a lot of that money, as well as not registering Wesley Fofana. So there's that. So any money that we'd get for Nicholas Jackson means that we'd be able to reinvest that into the squad. So that 50 million we get for the loan is something that we can reinvest, and then that option to buy next summer is something that we can reinvest into the squad. But as of now, we don't have the money to really pay excess fees unless Nicholas Jackson does leave the club, because that does open up a lot of money for us for UEFA registration. But as of now, we don't really have flexibility. So that's why we didn't accept financially, because if we did pay that money for Xavi Simons, we would have gone over. And if we do go over, then we're done for UEFA competitions for the next 3 years. So it's Xavi Simons or playing in the Champions League the next 3 seasons. I think Chelsea's going to take the Champions League all 3 times. Obviously, Xavi Simons is a great player, but you if you don't have that flexibility, you're not really going to extend that payment out to that player. So, we did it to ourselves. We shot ourselves on our own foot, but we're trying to recoup that, and that comes with sacrifice, and that was the sacrifice of Xavi Simons headed to Tottenham. But on the topic of Nicholas Jackson, he seems to be headed to Bayern Munich very, very soon for a loan deal, with the option to buy maybe. But I hope it is an obligation or a conditional loan. That if he plays a certain amount of games or bags a certain amount of goals, then he will become a Bayern Munich player officially. So there's that. Nicholas Jackson is expected to head to Bayern Munich in the next day or two. So definitely keep an eye out on the situation. Nicholas Jackson headed into the weekend. Maybe we hear something tomorrow. Maybe we hear something the day after. Um, but it doesn't seem like there is any permanent suitors for him because Newcastle did sign Nick Woltemade from Stuttgart for around 80 to 90 million euros, which is absurd. But there's that on Nicholas Jackson. Moving on. We wanted to know who the replacement for Xavi Simons was, and we figured it out. It's Facundo Buonanotte. Obviously at Brighton, but Fabrizio says breaking Facundo Bonanotte to Chelsea. Here we go. Deal in place with loan move, and there's no buy option clause included. Understand Chelsea will have the chance to match future bids and get Bonanotte if they can agree with Brighton. Exclusive story confirmed. So Facundo Bonanotte is headed to Chelsea on loan. Dry loan for the year. We're covering his salary, I'm assuming. Deal happened within 12 hours. He's headed to Chelsea on loan to be covered for the team, the squad. Can play in the 10, can play on the wings. Good little depth piece there. Obviously you missed out on Xavi Simons. You don't have Cole Palmer for we don't know how long. So if we're playing a less than side like a Burnley or something, you could definitely have Facundo Bonanotte get some minutes, take some time off Cole Palmer's legs, or give Esteval rest, Pedro Neto a rest. He can play on either side of the wings or the 10. So nice little depth piece there. Chelsea do acquire him today on a dry loan, but it is interesting to see that Chelsea have a chance to match future bids. And get Buonanotte if we can agree a few with Brighton. So maybe it's something we explore next summer if he does perform decently at Chelsea this year. So keep an eye out on Buonanotte's performances this summer. Obviously a wonder, or not this summer, excuse me, this season. Obviously a wonder kid in his own right. Definitely has potential to become a very good player. Um, Again, probably the alternate option to Xavi Simons, someone that can play the left wing as well as the 10, which Xavi can play, but don't really know how much Buonanotte is going to play when Cole Palmer does get back. That's yet to be seen, but loan is in place with Brighton. He's headed here. Maybe gets revealed tomorrow. I assume the medical and everything is all done. Don't have to sign a contract for a buy or a dry loan, so I think it'll be pretty easy to unveil him as soon as possible. But he's here on a dry loan for the next season. Wish him all the best. If he performs well, then maybe he does get a permanent move to Chelsea. So yeah, that's that on the left wing 10 situation. Xavi Simons heads to Tottenham. Facundo Buonanotte is our backup target, and he's headed to Chelsea. Deal is already done, and we can expect the unveiling sometime soon. On Tyreek George to AS Roma. Sky Sports Seth said that AS Roma had made an offer to sign Chelsea forward Tyreek George. He has a few options. Fulham and Crystal Palace thought to be keeping an eye on his situation. Bayern Munich like him and have explored a loan. Chelsea's preference is a permanent deal, which we know that AS Roma will offer to him, but nothing's agreed as of yet. We'll definitely keep an eye out on the situation. Tyreek George headed to AS Roma on a permanent deal. There's more. Fabrizio says that AS Roma keep negotiating with Chelsea for Tyreek George. Talks always ongoing also talks ongoing also on player side. I don't think the always is needed there, but yeah, AS Roma keep negotiating with us. Bayern are not in talks with George to start, despite reports. Chelsea never opened doors to a loan move. Roma open to permanent, but conditions slash sell on clause still being negotiated. So yeah, we fully expect Tarek George to likely head to Roma on a permanent deal. Opens up some money, obviously on the B list, but pure profit. So for PSR, we look great. We've already sold, I think, 300 million pounds worth of player this summer. So fair play to Chelsea for that, getting the outgoings flowing. But seems like Tyreek George and Nicholas Jackson are next on the list. Obviously, we have two left wingers now, with Garnacho here and with Gittins already here, and then you have a third in cover with Facundo Buonanotte, as well as Pedro Neto being able to play on the left. So a lot of depth. Tyreek George is not necessarily needed. He's going to head to Roma on a permanent deal. Maybe there's a buyback clause or a heavy sell-on clause, but conditions are still being negotiated. So definitely get a clear view on that in the coming days. See if they go in for him on deadline day or not, because I do think it fully drags on till that day, which is, I believe, Monday. So Labor Day over here if you are in America. So a lot of people have off. A lot of people are going to be able to watch the transfer window. But that's that on Tyreek George. Moving on to Fermin Lopez. David Ornstein says that Chelsea are evaluating a move for Barcelona's Fermin Lopez and are awaiting the player's approval to move forward with the deal. Um, and yeah, so this came out after Facundo Buonanotte did head over to Chelsea, so it shows that despite missing out on Xavi, we have two alternate options. We're trying to convince the player to open the doors to a Chelsea move, but it's yet to be seen if he will or if he will not. Obviously, his preference is to stay as of now, but maybe with extensive talks to Maresca about his development and about his future plans, maybe he budges. Maybe he does become a Chelsea player at the end of the window. But Chelsea, if Nicholas Jackson leaves, has the financial flexibility to go on for Fermin Lopez, especially if it's for 50 million euros, 40 million pounds, and other Garnacho type deals. So there's that. We can maybe expect Fermin Lopez to be a Chelsea player by the end of the window. It really depends if he opens the doors to the move or not, and if Nicholas Jackson leaves or not. If Nicholas Jackson doesn't leave, Fermin Lopez stays at Chelsea or stays at Barcelona. Excuse me. If Nicholas Jackson leaves, and Fermin Lopez opens doors, then maybe he does become a Chelsea player. It's really down to the player. It's really down to the club to convince him, as well as getting Nicholas Jackson out the door. But as of now, we are evaluating a move. If the player does approve it, I do fully expect him to likely come to Chelsea. If he opens the doors to the move and we get Nicholas Jackson out the door, I think Fermin Lopez will pretty much guaranteed be a Chelsea player. So there's that. And that is everything. Again, short and sweet news video. Went a little bit over the 15-minute mark, but so much to talk about with I think 3 or 4 here we goes in there. So there's that. If you did enjoy this video, please be sure to like, subscribe. I'm gonna try to post more consistently. I just had so much stuff to do, but apologize for that. Videos are gonna be out a lot more consistently, hopefully, in the coming days as we wrap up the transfer window. But yeah, if you did enjoy this video, again, please be sure to like, subscribe, and as always, it's Repulse, and I'm out. Peace.